Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news with me, Mark Goldbridge, on the Sunday night show. The Originals, that's what the Sunday night show is. If you can't remember, we used to do just one show a week on a Sunday night. That's what we used to do. I'll tell you what, it's been a bit of a weird weekend, hasn't it? We've got the latest on Onana, Harry Maguire rejecting a transfer. Will he stay? Will he go? Scott McTominay looks like he's staying because West Ham are going to buy somebody else. And what will Erik Ten Hag do next? Because he is being bloody ruthless, and everybody knows everything comes in threes. So De Gea, Maguire, and what next? What's going to be next? We'll have to wait and see. But it's been a bit of a weird day. I think, to be honest, if you'd said to me on Friday night, we won't have a Here We Go by Sunday night, I'd have said, well, what a surprise. Even though we could have done, even though Arsenal did an official signing of Rice on a Saturday, United, we can't even get a Here We Go on the weekends, and I don't think we're going to get it unless you get it late on a Sunday night, which would be quite nice, but I don't see it. I think it will be tomorrow now. But look, we've had this story coming in relation to Harry Maguire, of course, earlier on. Just to add a little bit to that, in case you haven't seen it. I mean, it is rather interesting that Harry Maguire put a quote out, and then Manchester United have put a quote out as well. So this is from Manchester United's statement. Everyone at Manchester United thanks Harry Maguire for his contribution as captain over the past 3.5 years. The manager will announce the new captain in due course after briefing the players. I mean, since when have we become a football club that, does statements on the changing of a captain? I was grateful that Harry Maguire put it out there publicly, just so that we know. It's good to know. Logically, you don't even have to tell anybody. It doesn't even have to be that big of a deal. So to get a club statement about it, I mean, are we just filling time because we haven't sorted the Onana deal out? I mean, it's probably not that deep, really. I mean, I don't really think the club needs to say thank you. They didn't even give Robin van Persie a thank you, and he left. And we're rushing out to do a thank you for a player that's still a Man United player that's just not going to be the captain anymore. It's, I don't know, it's just been a weird Sunday, hasn't it? Onana transfers longer than the Mendy court case, says everything about ancient history. Welcome to Members Club, Ruben and the Valkyrie. And also, do you think Bruno will get the captaincy, or maybe even Ten Hag has someone else in mind? Could be Mason Mount, giving him the number 7 shirt. Could be Mason Mount. I don't know. But what I do know is, and what I did want to talk about, and you may have seen this earlier on today, coming in from Simon Stone, so a very, very good source, in relation to what happens next for Manchester United. We're going to talk about the Onana situation in a minute, but this is from Simon Stone, so it's very, very, very good. West Ham are interested in Harry Maguire, but Maguire is happy at Manchester United and loves the club. I think reading through and cutting through all the stuff that's happened in the last few hours, it's exactly as what we said, isn't it? This meeting has taken place with Erik Ten Hag and Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire has basically been stripped to the captaincy. I don't know whether this is even relevant anymore. This came out around lunchtime, and it depends on when Harry Maguire had that meeting with Erik Ten Hag. He said that, it happened today about the captaincy. So, does Harry Maguire now have to make a decision? West Ham would like to sign him, but that reads a little bit like Maguire doesn't want to go. Well, the way I read it is this. I mean, he's got to go. He has to go. It's obvious. It doesn't mean he will go, but he has got to go. It's odd because I did a tweet yesterday where I said Maguire just doesn't seem to be aware of the situation where he is 5th choice centre-back and he's going to lose his England spot. Really, he probably needs a bit of a wake-up call. Ten Hag needs to take the captaincy off him, and Southgate needs to drop him from the England squad just to give him a bit of a jolt while the transfer window's open. And Ten Hag has clearly given him that jolt because, think of it like this, right? Maguire's been training a lot, wants to win his place back, wins his place back, plays well. Can I have the captaincy back? You know, that's how stupid it is to take the captaincy off somebody if you're going to let them play. I think Ten Hag, and I think we all know this, has said, you're not the captain anymore because I don't see you as part of my future plans. And really, if you can find a club, you should go. And that's pretty much what's happened, isn't it? I'd be stunned if that's not what happened. And I therefore... You know, I quite liked Harry Maguire's statement because it gave a glimpse of honesty, where I think in the past, in his interviews after games, and, you know, I think he's been a bit of a shifter of the truth. And this obviously has really disappointed him. You know, I don't know whether you've ever been in this situation. If you're the manager at work, and you've been the manager for the last three and a half years, and then you get demoted down to everybody else, it's not easy to go back to work, is it? Because you've been a captain and now you're not. I think the writing's on the wall. I think the writing's on the wall, and I think Ten Hag's written it. You know, you're fired, but he can't fire him. Why are we always drama FC, says Marvin. Welcome to the members club, Ibrahim. Thank you very much. So weird that Maguire is making the rules. Need to be more ruthless, says Villy. And Mark, am I wrong saying the budget leak is same as dressing room leaks, weakens our negotiations, says Klaus. We'll talk about the budget in a moment. But yeah, I think that, look, I actually, the way I deal with that is I'm like, what's Ten Hag going to do next? Like Harry Maguire, David De Gea, whatever you think about the two players, very similar situations, completely ruthless by the manager. You know, I think that David De Gea deserved better than to be left hanging, waiting to see if the Onana deal was going to happen after 12 years service. I think we should have dealt with it better. I get the ruthlessness, but I think we should have dealt with it better. I think doing club statements about Maguire losing the captaincy, just sell him. Sell him, and then the captaincy doesn't matter anyway. I mean, it's a little bit similar to De Gea, isn't it? Why did De Gea why was there all this uncertainty about De Gea while we were we're flirting with Onana? It was just a bit disrespectful to De Gea. Ultimately, the message was fine. You're going to replace the goalkeeper. That's ruthless. But the way we did it wasn't great. And this with Maguire, just sell him. And then he can't be captain anyway. We don't need to go through statements of him having his captaincy removed. But the logic behind both is very similar. And I think De Gea, fantastic goalkeeper, not a modern goalkeeper. Ten Hag wants a modern goalkeeper. Harry Maguire isn't totally useless. You think about even games last season where it's 5 minutes to go, Old Trafford, we're under a bit of pressure, holding on to a lead. You bring Harry Maguire in, you defend the edge of the box, crosses are coming in, heads it out. You know, in a West Ham shirt or another club that likes to defend, it'd be a good signing for them. He's just not a Ten Hag player. This is about evolution. This is about removing the players that don't play the way that you want to play. I think the next stage is probably Harry Maguire's going to have a little think. And I think he needs to have a little think quite quickly, because I just don't get the point now in Maguire being at Man United. Erik Ten Hag, inadvertently or purposely, has basically undermined him to the whole fan base. He's basically said, I don't trust you as my captain. I don't think you're good enough to be my captain. And that's the situation. Now, if Maguire's happy at Man United and loves the club, that's all fine and well. David De Gea did as well, but he's not here anymore. Ander Herrera did. He's not here anymore. Just because you're happy and you love the club, this is professional football. Footballers know they could move all around the country, sometimes all around Europe. I think Maguire's got to just find a way out. I'd loan him. I don't see the problem with loaning him. I would loan him. But yeah, he's got to find a way out. We should be able to tear up his contract if he won't leave the club himself, says Darren. Nick J gifted 10 memberships. Thank you very much. After all my moaning, does anyone else think this may weirdly end up being an amazing transfer window, even with the Glazers, says Nick J? I don't know. Currently delayed in the airport and watching the show. I'm also praying Maguire doesn't now come out and state he'll fight for the shirt, says Danny. And most of us were really excited when we signed Maguire. Shame it didn't work out. Don't think Ollie did him any favours with the captaincy so early, says Joshua. I said this about Maguire as well. He got given the captaincy way too early. I said that on the show earlier, didn't I? But I think the next step's going to be really interesting. I suspect Harry will be sat there talking with his family and those close to him right now. Probably quite surprised that he's had the captaincy taken off him, to be honest. Obviously, you go away on pre-season. Obviously, you have the end of the season. He was playing for England, probably feeling good, training camp, comes back, has the captaincy taken off him, completely ruthless. But I think that, it's time to move on. And the main thing that Maguire's got to worry about is his England spot. And I know as a Man United fan, we couldn't give a shit about England, but his England spot is precarious. It's risked, and he needs to play first team football. And Ten Hag has basically said, you're not playing first team football because that's why I don't want you to be captain. So yeah, he's got to make a decision. And you know what? Looking at the reaction and looking at the way things are, I don't think Man United have made it any easier for him to stay, because the manager, whatever you think about Anthony Martial, Harry Maguire, David De Gea, Scott McTominay, or any other player whose future is in doubt, Jadon Sancho, you knew in mid-June, whether you liked De Gea or not, and I did, I knew I was fighting a losing battle. I knew in June that Ten Hag wanted to get rid of De Gea. And at that point, you're like, well, he's the manager. You're banging your head against the brick wall. You've got to get on board with change. And De Gea was done. He was dusted at United, wasn't he? Maguire's dusted at United. Not because I think so, not because you think he's not good enough. Ten Hag has basically put that message out. He ain't good enough. He's not good enough for me. He's not good enough to be my captain. He's not good enough. You don't come back from that. And you shouldn't try to come back from that. Maybe if you're 25 and, maybe you can, but not at 30. He's not coming back from that. And I would consider loaning him. I'd certainly sell him if we can find the money. But yeah, I just think he's got to move on. It's football. Just move on. Do you think stripping captaincy was enough jolt for him or does he have to be left out the England squad, says Mr. Sportsman? I think it would. I think the, if you look back on Maguire back in March when he said, I've got nothing to prove. I wonder how much that impacted Ten Hag. I'm only throwing that out there because it's just dropped into my head. But that interview, and it annoyed a lot of people where he said he's got nothing to prove. I wonder what the manager thought of that. You just wonder. But then again, Ten Hag was already dropping him anyway. Maguire is obviously dreadful, but this statement is maybe him waking up from the dream world, says Fish. Loaning him in the long run could work well. Goes to a team that sits back, does well, looks decent. We get 40 million next summer, says Globetrotter. Loan to buy could work out quite well. Obviously, we need cash, but I still think that could work. He's probably thinking, if you want me to leave, pay off the contract. Why would he leave? Well, Rajin, quite right. I agree with him on that one. Carl, welcome to Members Club. And this transfer window is now at the mercy of Erik Ten Hag. The more he tells some of the players that they can leave, the quicker he can build his squad, says Mojo. And I think that's a great point. And it's not really, I've not really heard anybody say that, and it's probably the most logical as well. By saying that to Harry Maguire, he's basically telling him to go. And if Harry Maguire goes, it creates a spot at centre-back where he can bring in probably that Disasi or whoever else he wants. I think the interesting thing for me is what he's going to do next. I was thinking about this afternoon. So he's been ruthless with De Gea. He's been ruthless with Maguire. And I'm going to applaud this because I did say it's easy to be ruthless with De Gea because he's out of contract. It's not easy to strip your captain of the captaincy. That is ruthless. And to be honest with you, predictions, what do I think happens next? Brian Robson says, it's not ruthless, Mark. It's what proper managers do. We just haven't done it. You're right. I think logically, McTominay should go next. But I won't believe it till I see it, because apparently West Ham are now going for Polina from Fulham. So that probably means no McTominay. The interesting thing is McTominay and Maguire get on really well. If they both went to West Ham, I think they'd really enjoy it, and I think West Ham would be good for them. But I think surely McTominay's next, because if he's removing De Gea because he's a good goalkeeper but he's not good with his feet, and he's removing Maguire because he's a good centre-back but he doesn't suit United, then surely you've got to remove Maguire, remove McTominay, because he's just not very good in the midfield. He's just not good enough for Manchester United. So surely he needs to go. But you get the feeling, like Mourinho, like Ollie, there's something about McTominay that just makes him very popular and allows him to stay. I think also Martial's got to be worried. I mean, if Ten Hag can get rid of David De Gea, and he liked De Gea, I don't think Ten Hag's loyal because he likes you. I think he looks at what's best for the team. Because he did like De Gea. But obviously he was like, I like you, you're a legend, but you're not good with your feet, and I want someone who's good with your feet. We know he likes Martial, but Martial's never fit. So I'd be thinking maybe Martial might be going next. It definitely could happen in 3 or 4s, but I definitely don't think we've seen the end of Ten Hag's ruthlessness yet. And remember, you know, he can't really be more ruthless with Maguire than he has been, because people will say, well, it's the middle of July, but Maguire was only back in training yesterday, so it's happened quite quickly. Hi, Mark. With Maguire not being captain anymore, do you think we should keep Bruno? Says Farid. Well, what do you think in the chat? And does no one want Scott or Donny or Jason? What's going on? Says Stuart. Jaden, I think he's talking about. Well, I don't think Sancho's going anywhere. The captain for me should be Bruno Fernandes. I mean, we can do a poll on this, but the captain for me should be Bruno Fernandes because he was the captain last year. We had a very, very, very good season in relation to the solidarity. You know, we didn't play great football last year, but we got some really good results on teamwork. So I think I would just give it to Bruno. I think it's absolutely logical. Maguire left Erik Ten Hag with no option but to strip him. It's been no secret Maguire is not in the plans. He was 5th choice centre-back, yet he wanted to stay and fight, says John. And with Maguire leaving, who would you want to replace him? Also off topic, but did you watch the Wimbledon final, says Miles? I was on Talk Sport, so I couldn't. We've had a gifted membership from somebody there, but I didn't give their name. Yeah, I would give it to Bruno. It's interesting just going back to what we were talking about there. You know what? That's management. You know, if you've got a player that says, I want to stay and fight for my place, maybe this is just Glazonomics of the last 10 years that we're not used to this. But actually, if you want to remove somebody and they say, I want to fight for my place, you should have already made your choice. And you should be saying, I don't care whether you want to stay. You know, if somebody's bad at their job and you want to sack them, and then when you go to sack them, they say, I want to stay. They don't get to stay. They still get sacked, don't they? So this whole the player power needs to stop at Manchester United. That I'm going to sit and earn my wages and I want to stay and fight undermines the manager. If you're 4th or 5th choice midfielder, centre-back, striker, and you say, I want to stay and fight for my place, as a manager, you're almost going to say back to them, but you're 4th or 5th choice because that's where I've put you. You can't fight for your place because I don't think you're good enough. On your good day, you're still 4th or 5th choice. So I think these players ahead of you are better. And they're not going to have enough bad days and you're not going to have enough good days to go ahead of them. So yeah, I think it's a mentality change, and some people aren't comfortable with it. Robert McCormack, one of our legends in the chat, I don't know whether he's watching tonight, he was quite quick to say after the removal of Maguire being captain that it was out of order really from Ten Hag, because why remove you shouldn't remove the captaincy from a player that's still part of the team. I sort of get that. Azpilicueta was club captain, didn't play. Gary Neville was club captain, didn't always play. Same with Ryan Giggs. I just think the message has been handled badly again. I think what's really been said is you're up for sale, I want to sell you and you're not the captain anymore. But it's probably not a good look for United to do a statement saying Harry Maguire's not the captain and he's up for sale, because who does that? Mojo's just gifted 10 memberships because he's a legend. Thank you very much. And Aslam says, Maggie McTominay needs out. Ten Hag slowly getting rid. Martial, Donny, Telles, Bailey, Fred out as well. Bruno and Varane for captain, says Azim. I think McTominay will survive, which is interesting because I think he's one of the players we could get easily good money for. But I don't really care if McTominay stays as long as we get Amrabat. If we get Amrabat, I don't really care if McTominay plays because I don't think he'll play much. But I think for his own good, he should be going. And I think Ten Hag should be asking him to go. It's probably just me, but I don't think Bruno is the best option. Shaw has shown more maturity. He's also been here longer than almost every player, says Shahin. I mean, I think logically, Casemiro is the best option, to be honest. He's the one player that plays centrally. He's the one player that will play every single game. He's the conductor anyway. He's the most experienced player with Varane. And he's the best player. I would give it to Casemiro. but I think it will go to Bruno. I mean, I tell you what, maybe that's the hat trick of being ruthless. Maybe it's not going to be Bruno. Maybe it will go to somebody else. Tony Tomlinson, thank you very much. Mark, it feels good saying Bruno's our captain. Thank God, says Ron. Look, I think it will be Bruno, and I'll be happy with Bruno having it. But if I'm absolutely being honest, I think I probably would give it to Casemiro if it was down to me, because I like Bruno, but I just think Casemiro's the man, isn't he? He's the guy. So I probably would give it to him. Let me just give you an update on Onana. Look, Onana will be a Manchester United player. It's funny, actually. I don't know whether you watch my Talk Sport show, 5 till 7 every Sunday on National Radio Talk Sport, live on YouTube as well. And it's good because I basically get to decide the topics, and I have to be a little bit fair because it can't just all be about Man United. But I had a topic on the show, and I got absolutely ridiculed for it, right? So I said, Onana comes into the Premier League as the first or second best goalkeeper in the Premier League. Oh, well, rival fans couldn't have this. What are you talking about? He's not better than Ramsdale. He's not better than Pope. He's not better than Alisson. He's not better than Edison. And I was like, what do you think he's been doing for the last year? Playing golf. He just played in the Champions League final and was arguably man of the match. He didn't just get parachuted in for the Champions League final. Have a go, mates. He's been their goalkeeper all bloody season, and he got them to the Champions League. I don't get the arrogance of other Premier League fans. I really do not get it, right? Same thing happened with Martinez. Oh, he's too small. We buy one of the best goalkeepers in Europe, and I ask a very valid question: where does he come in instantly in relation to goalkeeping talent? He hasn't got to prove himself in the Premier League. He can flop, but I don't think he comes in having to prove himself. I don't think Erling Haaland had to come in and prove himself. He could have flopped, but he ain't got to prove himself. The Premier League's not like passing your GCSEs or your A-levels or getting a degree. It's a football league. And Onana's pedigree is what it is. He can become Premier League proven, but he's not coming here to do a bloody audition for Liverpool or Arsenal fans. He comes in as one of the best goalkeepers in Europe. And I think when you look at him, I'd probably plop him in at number 2 or 3. I still think Alisson's the best in the league, but I got ridiculed for it. Absolutely ridiculed. They were like, oh, whatever, he's not even that good and all this, that and the other. And I'm like, no. Premier League arrogance. I genuinely think he comes into this league and you plop him in 2, probably number 2 behind Alisson. Oh, as for Edison, what does he do, Edison? He never has anything to bloody do. And he makes loads of mistakes. Nick Pope's had a good season. Ramsdale's had a good season, but Onana's way better than them two with his feet. And he's a bloody good shot stopper as well, and he's good in the air. So, look, the proof will be in the pudding. I mean, the only thing that makes me a little bit reticent to talk about it is you don't want to jinx a player that's not even signed. But he comes in with a lot of confidence. I think we've got to have a lot of confidence in him. You can't afford to come in and make loads of mistakes. So, no, I'm confident. I'm confident. McTominay probably here for Homegrown Club, which isn't the same as Homegrown Nation. Homegrown Club is for Champions League registration, says Toll. Mark, hope you're well. Had Man United signed Declan Rice, would you think he would have been a better candidate for captain? I don't think you normally come in and be captain, Rizek. I think even if you are a captain, you don't come in and be captain. That's just not the way it normally runs. I think that's now more of a when Maguire leaves as opposed to an if. The question is, will it happen in the way that benefits this transfer window, says Brandon. Look, we're going to talk about Onana now. In relation to Harry Maguire, I think sometimes he's had the wrong people around him. I think the PR he's put out there has been terrible, really bad. I think some of the interviews he's done after the game have been really bad. You know, the defence has been at fault and he starts talking about the attackers. We know about certain interviews. I thought the way he handled it today was good. That's some of the best PR he's ever had. I think the next step has to be logical. You know, 3.5 years as Man United captain's not a bad run for a player that never should have got it in the first place. He needs to think about his England career. That's really important to him. Ten Hag's basically told him you're not going to play much next season. He needs to go and play football. If he refuses, he's damaging his own career. You know, that's what he's doing. If a manager says you're not my captain anymore, the first thing I would say back is I believe I can get in the team, so I can be captain, because if I'm playing I can be captain. No, you're not listening. You're not my captain anymore because I don't want you in my team. Okay. So, you know, that's the message, isn't it? That doesn't look like there's a logical way back. And also you could say, well, look, some clubs have keep somebody as a captain, but I don't need to play, but I can just be club captain. Like, that's the other thing. He could have said, like I said about Aspilicueta at Chelsea, I've been the captain for 3.5 years, just keep me as the club captain. I don't mind if I play. No, I'm not doing that. So I think the writing's very, very clear as to what's happening here. And I just think that he has to take the message, and basically it's down to him to get the move now. Man United will listen to offers. This is what your agent... If your manager says to you as a player, I don't want you here anymore, best of luck, go and find a club. It's not United's job to ring West Ham up. You know, Maguire's got an agent. Maguire's agent now should be ringing around clubs who are interested and you know, starting personal term conversations. It works both ways. Like, we have sorted out personal terms with Mason Mount and Onana, and then we're talking to Inter and Chelsea. Now Maguire and his agent need to be talking to the clubs they want to go to, and then they come to us to do a deal. That's basically what he needs to decide whether he's going to do or not. Ruthlessness would be telling Maguire his training with the reserves would send a proper message to Slabhead, says Jared. You know what though? You know, I can't lie. I've called Maguire shit and everything like that, and I wouldn't change it. I mean, at the end of the day, I used to get taken to games all around the country as a kid, late 80s, early 90s, and you know, I remember being at Highbury and having a cup of tea chucked on us when I was a kid. Like, you know, I've been in grounds where grown men who are sat there with their kid 20 minutes later are shouting at their own player, going, lay down and die, you bag of shit. There was no social media. There was on Twitter, if you said that to a footballer, lay down and die, you shit, you'd get suspended. People were saying that on the terraces. So, look, criticism of footballers in a passion environment, I don't apologise for. But Harry Maguire should not be training with the kids. He doesn't deserve that. You know, I think... No, he doesn't deserve that. We don't need to do those sort of things. Look, at the end of the day, go and find a club, go and play football, and the vast majority of Man United fans will wish him all the best. Very few Man United players, whether you want them at the club or not, don't get wished all the best. Lingard got wished all the best. Fellaini did. I mean, Tevez and Di Maria can go swim, but the vast majority do, and he doesn't need to be punished or anything like that. It's never personal. It's about the footballer. It becomes personal sometimes when it's in a passion environment. People start saying, you know, stupid things. But the reality is, nobody knows the guy. It's not a personal thing. It's not a personal thing against anybody. It's about your football team being as good as it can be. And to do that, you need to remove the players that you don't think are good enough. Sometimes we word it in the wrong way, but that's all we're striving for. And I tell you what, Harry Maguire's got a lot to offer. For the right team, he's got a lot to offer. And I think Scott McTominay has. I'm not so sure about Martial's got a lot to offer because he can't stay fit. But in the right team, Harry Maguire's got a lot to offer. Ruthlessness, we've done that from Jared. I have to disagree with you on Onana being one of the best in the Premier League. I would definitely put him as 4th or 5th best, but I would be happy if I'm proved wrong. It's who you'd put ahead of him, Jack. As I said, Onana's not been playing golf. He's costing us somewhere between 40 and 50 million pounds. That's a lot of money for a goalkeeper. 40 to 50 million pounds for a goalkeeper is a lot. A goalkeeper that plays in the Champions League like he did, he's a top quality keeper. And I'm not just talking about the final. I'm talking about the journey there. He's a good goalkeeper. He was a good goalkeeper at Ajax. Ten Hag's putting a lot of risk on this. I want it to work, but Ten Hag's getting a lot of risk on this. It's funny because a lot of people have... I've seen a few people replying to me saying Goldbridge can't wait for it to go wrong so he can say, I told you so. I'm not saying I told you so. I'm not going to say I told you so. You know, I'm on board with the change. I back the manager. All I said was I would have waited another year and spent the budget on other areas. I don't think we needed to replace De Gea this summer. That's all I said. Ten Hag did. I back it. Long term, we had to do it. I wasn't saying keep De Gea for 4 years. I knew long term we had to do it. I just think for another year would have been okay because the budget's limited. But if it goes really, really wrong, then of course critics will say he shouldn't have done it. That's the risk, isn't it? Hope you're well. Had Man United signed Declan Rice? I've done that one from Rizik. Mark, thoughts on Ivan Toney? Would have been in January, but could that be prolific striker? Well, the thing about Ivan Toney is you can't do a deal till January. Andre Onana has agreed a 5-year contract at Manchester United with the option of an extra year, says the Times. So it got a little bit weird around sort of 6:15 tonight. It looked like we were going to get to here we go. I mean, look, Onana's going to sign for Manchester United. It's on the download. Unfortunately, we're using dial-up and pigeon carrier to download it. It's odd. It's odd, and only United can find new and irritating ways to elongate a transfer. I mean, I never thought we'd see the day, but we've actually got Fabrizio saying we're 99% there. Like, 90% club was a thing. We've now got 99% club. And remember, this is not the official announcement. This is here we go. You normally have a few days after here we go. I think what we're actually going to see is, and we've got Fabrizio on the show tomorrow afternoon anyway, but I think what we're actually going to see is we're going to see a really close space between here we go and holding up the shirt, because there has to be, because United are going to Edinburgh on Tuesday and then they're going straight to New York. So we've got to move quickly on this one. Apparently Onana will be in Italy tomorrow to say goodbye, fly in, medical Tuesday, hopefully link up with the team to fly to America. But obviously he's not going to play on Wednesday, is he? But we just need to get him on that plane to America, playing with the team. But why we haven't had here we go yet, I don't know. United spun a real positive with the Mason Mount deal. It took many weeks, but they were very proud of the fact that they paid £55 million. I suspect we will get... Reckon says, isn't it Wednesday? No, we're playing on Wednesday at 2 o'clock in Scotland. So we'll be going to Scotland on Tuesday, and we're flying straight from Scotland to New York. So we leave Manchester on Tuesday. I suspect when the deal happens with Onana, United will spend a lot of time PRing how they negotiated a good deal. But my observation on this is that we could have had Onana done 2 weeks ago, and if we'd done it 2 weeks ago, we'd be working on Højlund and something else. And it's a bit like Mason Mount. 3 or 4 weeks negotiations to save yourself 5 million in a summer where time is of the essence. 2 or 3 weeks negotiating to save 5 million on Onana. I mean, what difference does 5 million make? It only makes any difference to the Glazers. We need to be moving. Time's more important than 5 million quid. Like, if Onana had been training, for the last week, we'd be working on the Højlund deal now. So, yeah, I think this is the summer of trying to show that we're competent when actually we're just taking too long. New member Mark, please call my wife Dawna Pratt, says Tony. Tony, you're the Pratt. Leave Dawn alone. Dawn's a legend. Rizik says, we've done that one from Rizik as well. I'm only joking with you, Tony. But I think Bruno Stropp's too much, but Casemiro is too short term, says Luke. Yeah, I mean, look, 71% of you have gone with Bruno as your captain. 20% have gone with Casemiro. 9% have gone with other. So Bruno will get it. I've got no doubt about that at all. Bruno will get it. I think that that's not something I'm looking at this week going, I can't wait to see who's going to get the captaincy. I mean, look, realistically, let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. It's a bit like going around your mate's new house on a sunny day, and in the back garden he's got a hot tub and there's a party going on, and he's trying to show you his fence around the front. Let's get around the back garden and have a look at what's going on in the hot tub. I don't want to look at your bloody shrubbery in the front garden. And that's what I feel about the captaincy. I'm like, I don't want to know about the captaincy. I want to get on with transfers. Let's do it. So yeah, I mean, not interested in the captaincy. Of course, look, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's very, very predictable. We're not going to have a striker on tour. Incredible. I mean, Dumb and Dumber, so you're telling me there's a chance as Wardy. There's a lot of people there's a lot of people talking about, they're feeling quite happy about Ten Hag being ruthless with De Gea, being ruthless with Maguire. Onana's going to come. These are potentially positives for everybody. Might be some positives for everybody, but life's not all sunshine and bikinis, is it? It's back in the hot tub. That's not what I wear in a hot tub. But Rahul, welcome to the Members Club. There's good things and there's bad things, and I think that the captaincy changing is a positive. I think that the Onana signing is a positive, but not having a striker going on tour for 2.5 weeks is ridiculous. I think that Mojo's gifted 20 memberships. I don't know whether that's a repeat or another 20. If so, Mojo, you are a legend. I think that I think it'll be exciting on the tour when Onana's playing to see how we play out from the back. But what are we doing up front? Logically, it'll be Mason Greenwood. It won't be Mason Greenwood. We still need to sort that one out as well. I don't think Mason Greenwood's a word that we don't have to. There was a time where Mason Greenwood was like Voldemort. You didn't talk about it, but you can talk about Mason Greenwood now. You can, and I think that's something that's got to be solved as well. But on tour, we're going to be using Marcus Rashford up front, and we all know that because he's the only bloody player we've got. But who's going to come on when Marcus Rashford isn't up front? Because we haven't got anybody else. So it's appalling, really, that we're going on tour without a striker. And somebody in the chat said, well, maybe we can get the Højlund deal done. You're having a laugh. You're having a laugh. Jamie Jackson's come out with a line on Harry Maguire. Jamie Jackson writes for The Guardian. Manchester correspondent says, Maguire is undecided about leaving Manchester United, but protecting his England place may force his hand. As I said yesterday, there's two things that can force his hand. One of them is to remove the captaincy and tell him he's no longer needed at United. That's happened. The second thing should lead towards the England place. Hi, Mark. Give the captaincy to the Butcher. We should give it to a player who plays most of the games. I mean, Jay's interesting one as well. Buzzing for my first ever United game in New York next weekend. Can't believe we don't have a striker in. At least Arsenal did their business in time. So thank you, Sean, and do enjoy it. Of course, somebody said in the chat, what if we signed Højlund next weekend? Would he go on the tour? No, I don't think he does. I think it doesn't feel like this transfer window's got going anyway. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but statistically, it's not going to get any better. And I say this from a position of confidence. We've bought Mason Mount and we will get Onana, and we've sold nobody. We go on tour basically on Tuesday. We very rarely buy people when we're on tour, and we're not back from tour until I think so. You've got Arsenal on Saturday, Wrexham, Real Madrid midweek, and then Dortmund, I think, on the Sunday nights, and then we fly back. So it's a 2-week tour. So basically, it's a 2-week tour. So basically, we're not going to announce Højlund or any exits, really, for another 2.5 weeks. Because we're not going to sign Højlund before we go on tour. He wouldn't link up with the tour, so it won't happen till we come back from the tour. So we're not going to have a striker for the opening game of the season that's ready to go. It's just not going to happen. And we may as well get our head around that. It's not going to be like it. And of course, in 2 weeks' time, you're going to be about 2 weeks out from Wolves. The best United could do is make sure that Højlund's there for the first training session back after the US tour, because you've still got about 10 days until we play Wolves, and he could play the weekend games against in Dublin and in Manchester. But yeah, it's not going to happen. Martial won't be fit for the US tour. It is what you read what you. It's very easy if you've been doing it long enough, like you have and I have, to predict it. Once United go on tour, we don't really do any deals. We don't sign any players. So Amrabat as well. These players won't be bought while we're on tour. Sales will be very difficult to do on tour. How do you sell Harry Maguire when he's in America? How do you sell Fred? I don't think Fred will go. I don't think Dean Henderson will go. But everybody who does go won't be able to be sold. So you can sort of predict what the next few weeks are going to be. It'll be Onana, and then I think we'll spend another 2 weeks working on Højlund, who will probably sign when we get back from the tour. I think I say this every year. I know why we do the tour, because it's great to go out to America or Australia or Asia and meet fans. Of course, it's great. But I think that it does derail your transfer activity. Can't remember when we wanted... Remember that? I don't know how many years ago this was. Here's a bit of a prize for you. What year was it? Where we certainly weren't doing United stands. So there was a summer. I think Sir Alex was still in charge. Maybe Sir Alex was still in charge. Vidal to Manchester United. And it was meant to be happening. And then they got on a plane to... Australia. I think Juventus got on a plane to Australia, and it was like, will he get on the plane? Won't he get on the plane? Never happened. Obviously, the deal never happened. What about the Lens and Atletico Madrid games? Says Darren. Yeah, they're the week before Wolves, and we don't buy a striker as I can't afford it. Simple as that. Says it's just Adrian. We can afford a striker. Like I'm not gonna dismiss that. We can buy a striker. Sicario is talking about Man United being serious suitors for PSG's Xavi Simons, although Leipzig are furthest ahead. I'd be absolutely stunned if that happened. He's going to PSG from PSV, who are loaning out for a year with absolutely no prospect of a loan to buy. So you'd be getting Simons for a year, and then he goes back to PSG. It's not the sort of deal United should be doing. There's no point in doing a deal like that. No. 170 million buys Mbappe, says Pete. We need a Vidal type player now, says Tom. What about Taremi, says Paul Lucas. No. I won't go anywhere near him. Sancho up top, who is better than Haaland? If you know, you know, says Adrian. Disasi, what do you think about him, says Ken. That will depend on whether Maguire goes, I think. We can buy... Nobby says an interesting point. Sir Alex always put the players before himself and protected them. Has Ten Hag done that with Maguire and De Gea? Do you think there will be a surprise deal both in or out, says Uvia? I think the environment's there for a surprise. I mean, everybody always tries to peddle negativity because the Glazers provide negativity, but when you look at this transfer window, it has been very disappointing in relation to recruitment and sales. But then amongst the slowness in recruitment and sales, there are some very clear, evidential, exciting points which maybe we wouldn't have had. Look, the De Gea thing was ruthless, handled badly, but ultimately gave a lot of people what they wanted, you know, the change in goalkeeping style. The removal of the captaincy from Harry Maguire has been quite odd, how it's been handled publicly, but has given everybody what they want, and basically Maguire's been told they want him to leave. They are quite big things. They haven't led to anything yet, but they are quite big things. Rasmus Højlund, hotter than the sun, whatever you want to call it, that's the striker we want. We're just very slow and we have to do one thing at a time. Onana will be a good signing. Mason Mount is a good signing. So there are potentials there for some really, interesting developments at Manchester United. The problem is, it's like watching a snail race or a tortoise race. It's just ridiculously slow. We might get over the line at some point, but it's just so slow. After Onana and Højlund, what positions would be looking to buy in and what order? Thanks for the great work, says Liam. Well, I think the only two positions I think are logical are a midfielder. Amrabat would probably be the number one. And a centre-back would be obviously on the list because we know how much you wanted Kim Min-jae. Would you not go for Amrabat before a striker to not miss out on a good CDM, says Casper? But there's that assumption that Højlund's just going to sit there and wait. What if somebody goes in for him? So we can't just... I think you've got to go and get the striker. You've got to go and get the striker. Sir Alex and David Gill ran such a hugely successful and smooth club. Unbelievable where we are now, says Leroy. And Jason Murray's right. Sir Alex wasn't always not ruthless. Beckham, Stam, Van Nistelrooy. He got rid of players. He was ruthless. Of course, I think that Suzuki probably comes in as well. I mean, look, signing a second goalkeeper is not exciting. I never got excited when we signed Tom Heaton or Phil and Grant. Ben Foster. I don't remember signing Ben Foster, to be honest. Tim Howard, Ray Carroll. I don't remember getting excited about signing reserve goalkeepers. But I think the exciting thing about Suzuki is that normally you buy a reserve goalkeeper and it's like, well, we're hardly ever going to see them play. The number one's the number one. I think the exciting thing about Suzuki is just the type of goalkeeper he is. The way that Man United, if it goes to plan, watching Man United goalkeepers now is going to be something we've not seen for over a decade. They're going to be part of the team. They're going to be running out the box. They're going to be passing the ball around, and Suzuki will do that as well. So if Onana doesn't play and Suzuki plays, you're still going to see that type of a goalkeeper. So I think it's not your normal reserve goalkeeper signing, is it? I think there is, there will be something exciting about that. Fred, Amrabat is like Fred, heavy touches, says Runa. I think the way that Amrabat plays football isn't always easy on the eye. He doesn't look like he's in control of the ball a lot of the time, but that doesn't mean he's not in control of it. It's just the way he runs. I think he is an upgrade on Fred. I think he's got more intelligence than Fred when he's got the ball at his feet, but and I think he's a better tackler than Fred. But can he adjust to the Premier League? Hello all from Chicago, says Erik. And Lamb says, this show is weird. Title. Maguire rejects transfer offer. Ten Hag gets ruthless. Pretty much what's happened today, mate, really. Yeah, it's not weird. Pretty much what's happened today. Maybe watch it from the start and you'll know what's going on. Thanks for the memberships, Mojo, says Dean Turner. Amrabat is a battler, says Paul Lucas. He's a Ten Hag system player, says Justin. And I think that's just where we're at the moment. I've got no problem with fans who question the manager. I think you should always question management. Maybe do it in a respectful way. But I think with... good question here about the number 9 I need to go back to. But Erik Ten Hag is the manager. And he's going to do things that you don't necessarily agree with. There will be fans tonight crying that Maguire's not captain anymore. There will be fans upset that De Gea's not in here anymore. There will be people that weren't happy that he bought Mason Mount, or if he buys Amrabat, or if he buys Højlund. But Ten Hag has earned the right, more than any manager since Sir Alex Ferguson, to do what he wants to do. It's only year 1. You don't judge transfers until year 2, and maybe you don't judge Ten Hag till year 2. But I think what he did last season was remarkable, and I think he deserves the credit and respect and time and trust, more than any word, to do what he wants to do. If it goes wrong, football is a very, very critiqued sport, and patience doesn't exist in football. So he's got to keep getting it right, but I think we have to back him. Any truth in stories of a possible loan for João Felix, says Mojo? Look, Ten Hag likes João Felix. Have United got the money? I don't think it'll happen. If we get a striker, I think we're in a similar situation to last season. A first team that can compete, but a couple of injuries away from struggling, says Glenny Boy. Yeah. There is a vulnerability to this team, Glenny boy. There is. We are so slow because the Glazers sign off on each and every transfer and they're single lane turtles, says Iraqi. That's actually true, though. That's actually true. That's well known. It's been well known since the Woodward days. The reason United are slow on transfers is because it has to go through the chain of command. It goes from the manager to the recruitment, through the board, Richard Arnold, to the Glazers. It does take a long time. That is a well-known thing. Aditya says, I think Rashford will be our number 9 with Højlund as a sub. We spoke about this probably halfway through last season. I think that Ten Hag really thinks Rashford's a striker. We're going to have to trust him on it. I like Rashford. I know there's a lot of people out there that actually think Rashford's not as good as he is. I like Rashford, but the thing I like about Rashford is off the left. I think Rashford with the ball at his feet is sometimes unstoppable. I think his ability to pick the ball up out on that left-hand side, run at somebody at full pelt, shoot, take somebody on, I think that's what Marcus Rashford's all about. I think if you put him as a number 9, you just basically took away something that he's really good at that he can't do as a number 9. You don't pick the ball up 10 metres off the centre-backs and run at them. That doesn't happen in the centre. So really, you're reliant on the ball over the top for his pace, which is one-dimensional, and you're reliant on teaching him how to move and around the box to score goals. But you're taking away the thing that he's brilliant at. So, I don't know. Look, Thierry Henry went from the wing to a striker. It can work. It could work. We should trust Ten Hag to make it work. But I still think United are better with Rashford off the left. I don't like Rashford as a striker. It just doesn't feel right to me. But I suspect that's what we're going to be doing at the start of the season. I see no alternative. And we saw it a lot last season. Rashford played up front a lot last season. And I think he's going to play up front as our starting striker at the start of this season as well. Need to get something out of Sancho, says DFS. Well, of course, if Rashford goes up front, it opens up an opportunity for Sancho on the left. Or probably Garnacho. Don't forget Ahmad. So I like Rashford on the left. I think Rashford on the left. Look at Son on the left, Salah on the right. The days of a winger having to evolve into a number 9, it doesn't have to happen like that these days. Mbappe plays off the left, doesn't he? Doesn't always play through the middle. I don't think we need to. I think with Rashford we don't need to fix what's not broken, but I think it's very obvious that we're going to start off the season using Rashford because he's the only one we've got anyway. Well, Kenny says Rashford believes he's better as a striker, but that's probably old school mentality. If Rashford thinks that, I mean, he wouldn't be the first. Anthony Martial couldn't wait to stop. I mean, I liked Martial on the left. He always wanted to play through the middle. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Martial was a winger who wanted to play up front, and now he's injured all the time, but his position is up front now. I liked Martial off the left, but a lot of players do that when they're on the wing. They want to become a forward, but football's changed. Salah doesn't play up front. He's won the Golden Boot. You don't have to go down. You don't have to move into the centre. There's actually benefits to being on the wing. Salah, if you put him up front, he's got to play with his back to goal. He's got centre backs buzzing all over him. He's very rarely going to be able to turn and run at people. On the wing, you can find your space. You can pick the ball up. You can make your runs. You can run at people. I just think Rashford's natural attributes is to run at people. And as a number 9, you don't really get a chance to do that. As a number 9, you've got to lead the press. I don't think Rashford's press is that good. I think he's quick, but I think he runs in straight lines. I don't think he covers the passing angles. And I think that tends to be what the wide man does. But I don't know what Rashford would rather do. I think he's way better off the left. I think he can be a good striker. I think he's better off the left. But I get the feeling that Ten Hag thinks he's a striker. So Ten Hag's the manager, and we'll have to trust it and see how it goes. But he'll have to be the striker for now. Mojo's just gifted another 20 memberships. What a legend he is. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, by the way, bottom right-hand corner. I'm not going to give you a guarantee, but we will get a Here We Go very soon, and we're very close to 1.7 million, as you can see. So please do subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Always a pleasure to do the Sunday night show. I've had a very busy day today. 2 hours on the fucking national radio. But I would never not do the 8 o'clock show on a Sunday. I really enjoy it. And it's been a weird day as well. You know, who says the weekends are quiet? Massive news. I actually couldn't believe, I've got to say, I actually couldn't believe it when I saw that Harry Maguire had put that post out. Couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. Could Erik Ten Hag want to try Rashford as a number 9 to try to play wingers who cross more to the box? Says Stephen. Yeah, well, it's a big season for Anthony, isn't it? It's boring, but do you still think that Qatar will win? Lewis, oh my God, we nearly got through a whole show where we didn't talk about the sale. And it's not that I'm anti talking about the sale, but it just shows you how manipulated we are, isn't it? I'm ashamed, really. We are manipulated by the Glazers because nobody talks about the sale anymore. You know, it's nearly... Is it 2 or 3 weeks? It'll be 2 weeks or 3 weeks since Rio said we were going to hear something from his top source within 24 hours. That's a long 24 hours. But no, it's just gone really quiet. In fact, I think Rio gave it the kiss of death. He said something big's going to happen and it just died. You know, like on Casualty when they're trying to heart, you know, there's a bit of life there. As soon as Rio said that, flatline, it's just gone. Look, with the sale, something will happen at some point, which will get it exciting again. But at the moment, you know, and I know probably 3 or 4 people who are good, and I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but they have good contacts close to 3 parties. You can probably figure out those 3 parties. That they can sort of ask for information about whether it's true or not. For example, when it was when that story came out from Rio about something was going to happen in the next 24 hours. Remember that was it July the 4th or something like that? So it was a national holiday, and from the American side, they were basically saying nothing's happening tomorrow. It's a national holiday, so you can they can confirm stuff. And I've not heard anything from those 3 or 4 people who have those sort of sources about anything in ages, and they would drop a message, and I've not heard anything. So, and I don't think, and nobody has. I mean, Mike Keegan. We've not heard anything from him either for ages, have we? It's just gone really, really quiet. Really quiet. It's odd. It's gone so quiet that people aren't even doing articles about Glazers aren't thinking of selling anymore because the bids aren't good enough. It's just gone really quiet. Mark, what about Sebastian Haller as number 9? Says Desiree. Sicario's talking about Alaba. Alaba makes no sense at all. Left-footed. We don't need a left-footed centre-back. We don't need a left-back. So Alaba makes no sense. We need a right-footer. Could Erik Ten Hag want to try Rashford as a number 9 to try to play wingers? Well, I've done that from Stephen as well. Anyway, look, thanks everybody for watching. Really enjoyed the show tonight. A new week starts tomorrow. Another pre-season. We've got 2 pre-season games this week. We've got obviously Lyon on Wednesday afternoon. Looking forward to that. 2 o'clock kickoff. And then we've got Arsenal 10 o'clock UK time next Saturday. Onana, here we go, will happen as well. But I wouldn't bet on anything else happening this week in relation to incomings. I don't think it's looking very good. Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. 1,000 people have left for Love Island, says Wayne. It happens every year. It fascinates me. I'm thinking about doing some videos actually because I quite like psychology and human behaviour, etc. And I've got some interesting insights into, you know, how I deal with certain things. And I'm thinking about how to do it. But yeah, 1,000 people leaving every time. It's amazing. Some people are saying here we go because Sky Sports say here we go. Well, you don't get a here we go because Sky Sports say here we go. Let's have a look. Breaking news, Andre Onana to Manchester United is done deal for 50 million plus bonuses, says Sky Sports. Sky Sports trying to be relevant. Slow Sports News. Slow Sports News. I think we'll go with Fabrizio when it comes to, here we go, not Sky Sports. So maybe Fabrizio will announce it in the next few minutes, in which case I'll be back live with you. But if he doesn't, thanks everyone for watching, and smash a like and subscribe. I could be back in no time. I could be back tomorrow. Let's see. Thanks for watching. Take care, legends. I'll speak to you